Okay, people. So, yo, I've got to give mad props to AJ, right? The best PR person in the world. Brian, Emily, Dillon, and Simon, because I've just watched episode 4, 5, and 6 of Play It By Ear. Got early access, and yo, I really appreciate that. You know what I mean? But because they haven't dropped yet, right? Next week, people. So I'm not going to give you the in and outs, right? Like 1 to 3. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to give you a kind of atmospheric, themic feel on this. So it's just going to be brief, but I'm just going to let you know you want to watch these episodes, right? You want to watch these episodes. You're not going to be if you've really dug these first 3 episodes, and I'm sure you would have if you've watched them, right? If you haven't, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Go check them out, people. But yeah, if you enjoyed those episodes, right? You sometimes we wonder, right? Is this the pinnacle? Is this as good as it gets? How do we continue from here? Are they going to do the things we want them to do? Right? We wonder that. That's a natural thing, especially when you have like the split seasons. You know what I mean? Like it happens all the time. You get the first few episodes and you're like, oh, that was fire. And then the second half, sometimes it's not as good, right? Or your anticipation for it doesn't match what you then watch, right? So it's not that it wasn't good, it's just you were hoping they were going to go this place or that place and they just didn't, right? Well, I mean, yeah, that's a lot of ramble just to let you know, people, that this isn't a letdown. It's definitely not a letdown, right? We get that straight reaction to episode 3, right? The way episode 3 ended, you're like, yo, what happens? Where are we going? And we get that. We get that. We also, we get to see these other situations, we flip around, obviously, but it's it's really interesting what we do because we jump back in time and then we jump to normal, right? So we get to see this juxtaposition of emotions and everything, right? You're watching this, and I think the thing that really jumps out is the naivety of youth. You know what I mean? Or not even the naivety of youth, but it's just when you haven't had a ton of experiences or you haven't experienced a certain thing like a long distance relationship, there's a belief, right? There's an understanding, a romanticization of a thing, because you watch all of these films, you know and there's the great films, right? There's the incredible films like the Before trilogy, In Search of a Midnight Kiss, right? Garden State, Eternal Sunshine. There's these films that deal with relationships so well. But then you have the Hollywood stuff, right? Now, obviously, it's all Hollywood, but what I mean, the big studio stuff, right? The mainstream films, because it's usually the indie stuff that does it so well, right? Case in point, Play It By Ear, right? But when we see the mainstream stuff, Everything gets resolved real well, tied in a bow. There's an argument. Everyone's now happy. You know what I mean? You know the arcs, you know where it's all gonna go. So if you're watching things like that, your perception of what something would be can get warped. So I think with this, we're watching this couple, Lukas and Mila, right? And you can see that they have this idea of what something should be, but they don't really have a clue, right? You have them arguing about things, and on one hand it's just like, I'm not holding this against you, and then the thing gets brought up and it's just like, yo, clearly that's an issue, right? But no one wants to say it's an issue. It's this interesting thing that we get to see, this dichotomy of understandings, and it's fascinating, right? It's tough in times to watch, because I know you may remember arguments and situations that you've had that are similar. So we're watching it all, and it can get very tough, but at every moment it feels real, right? Every moment it feels real. So we see all of this with this exploration of relationships and sexuality, right? Everything's there. And the other fun thing is, as we're watching these last 3 episodes, right, some of the things that get mentioned, we then see that thing, that word, that situation get fleshed out, right? Which is fun, right? Is this fun? I'd be like, oh shit, I remember when they mentioned that in episode, you know what I mean? And we see all of that. So that's great. And the ending. Now, it's like trying to end something like this is going to be difficult, right? Because there's the idea of where this will go, right? You're watching it from the beginning, you think, okay, I know where this is going, right? And then there's the, oh, let's shake it up, right? But you don't want to come off cliche, but then you don't want to come off unrealistic. So I was wondering, how will this go? Right. And especially after the conversation with Emily. But people, people, just to let you know, the ending is great. I was very happy with the way this all went down. I loved all of it. Loved all of it. You will not be disappointed. So people, people, do yourself a favor and check out episode 4, 5, and 6, because man, they nailed it. They nailed it. You know what I mean? Gotta give these motherfuckers their flowers, man. Everyone involved. As I said, listen, we got Emily and Zisko, Simon Kintz Kincaid, Dillon Bentlage, Brian Riley. Man, they did a superb job. And then all the cast that did their thing as well, because it's getting those emotions relayed, right? It's creating these scenes that are all believable, you know, putting the sound, right? Didn't know any of the songs that played, but all the songs felt like they fit, right? Everything felt good. Everything felt good. So, hey, play it by ear. This was great. Loved it. Can't wait for a season 2. Okay, so follow them, bug them. We need to get season 2 done. And people, if you haven't already checked it out, I was able to have the pleasure of sitting down with Emily, and it's a great conversation. So check that out. Check out, you know, the whole episodes, all the series, all the links on the website. People, enjoy. Okay, peace.